welcome back to my channel. Today I have a new literature unit for you. This one is going to be on Oliver Twist, and again we're using the Classic Starts version just like my other units. These are great for younger readers and just a fun way to get into the classics at an earlier age. So if you want to take a look and see what this lap book is all about, stick around and let's look inside. Alright, so here is what my lap book looks like. Again, here's the Classic Starts book, and it's about this thick. This one has 24 chapters in it, so it's a little bit longer than some of the other ones, but it's reworded in a way that makes it a little bit easier for younger readers to understand. It also has some good vocabulary words in it as well. So basically it's just retold from the Charles Dickens original, so it's like an abridged version. So I like to use these. All of my literature units are available on digital download only, and so what you get with the download is the teacher's lesson plans, and there's links on a video on how to create the lap book as well, but it also includes how to do it in the instructions. And then it also tells you any material you'll need, so it tells you the book, which version, and there's actually a link to this particular book so you can get the exact same one. You can also find them usually at your library as well, so you might want to check there first. You'll also need 2 file folders, some scissors, some glue, and some tape to complete this unit, and then obviously some paper and a printer to be able to print the materials. It tells you what to do prior to reading, and there's a vocabulary word list, a timeline that your kids will fill out, and then for each chapter there's a lap book unit, and I'll show you those in just a second, but it tells you exactly what to do. And then in the teacher's manual it has the questions that are written in your student on your student pages, and then for you it also has the answers, so that if you don't have time to pre-read these or whatever, you can just at least have the answer in front of you so you know that your child is reading and comprehending. And so it just looks like that for all of the chapters. And then the lap book itself is just 2 file folders, and I actually folded the flaps in, and then I added this extra kind of flap because this one had so many books to it. On the back side we added this pocket, and there's instructions on how to do this on my video and also in the teacher's manual. And the pocket houses all of our reports. So each book report, or each literature unit, comes with a book report, a book versus movie report in case you decide to do a movie after you've read the book. Halfway through or so it has your students filling out a protagonist versus antagonist kind of comparison and contrast and comparison, and the definitions for those words and whatnot are in your teacher's manual as well. And then they'll also fill out a report that has just a few facts about the story, the setting, the plot, you know, kind of the main summary of it, and then a place for them to do an illustration. And before you read, there's also a predictions worksheet, which they can kind of take a combination of the cover, illustration, and see what they think that the book is about, and write that down, predict where they think it's taking place, predict what it's about, and how they think that the story is kind of going to unfold or how it's going to end. And then when you're done reading this, it's kind of fun to go back and see, and it's kind of just like the old motto of you know, if you can read a book by its cover or not. So that's just kind of a fun activity that goes with it. And then there's also this timeline, which my kids like to fill out, and they can either write in these boxes or they can do a little illustration, stick figures, whatever. Doesn't have to be anything major, of just the major events that take place in the story. And you might want to even print out an extra sheet of this if they need to, because there's quite a few chapters for this book. But it's just kind of a fun like storyboard sort of just the main activities or main events in the book, and that just kind of helps do an overall kind of summary of the book in more of a visual sense. So those are all of the reports that are included, and then like I said, we just tuck them in this back folder and keep them back there. And then let's take a look inside the lap book. Alright, so in order to put this cover on the lap book, I usually glue it to one side, flip it open, and then just cut along the edge, and then that gives me a perfect outline to glue it onto the other side. So that's the easiest way I found, but you're welcome to do it however you want. I've also tried to glue it to both sides and then use kind of a paper cutter to trim down it, and that was just kind of messy, so I don't know if I'd go that route. And then on the inside, as you can see, there are mini books for each of the chapters, and most of the mini books, if I can, I try to put the questions on the actual tabs, because I think it's kind of nice for the kids when they open it up to have the questions on there and then they're answering the questions in there. Some of the lap books or some of the mini books it doesn't quite go with as well, for, you know, the ones that just have a cover. But all the questions are written on their student workbook pages, so either way, if the questions are on here or on their page, they have all the questions, and like I said, you have the answers. And then there's comprehension questions. So they'll read a chapter, they'll cut out, color, and then answer questions for each chapter on the inside. And this particular one, like I said, has 24 mini books in it. So as you can see, we added this extra flap up here, and all this is one side of a file folder cut off, and then we just taped it right here along this edge. And I will usually have these either prepared in advance for the kids, or my older ones actually like to pick out their colors and put them together on their own, but it's totally up to you. For my little ones, I usually prepare the lapbook in advance. That way they're not having to kind of fumble around with creating this book. The other thing that they all include is a vocabulary pocket, and I kind of like to put it right here because it's protected by this flap, so if this thing gets turned around, these aren't like necessarily falling out. But they're basically just a list of some of the maybe more challenging words in there, or maybe words that your student might not be familiar with, especially from this book because it takes place in a different time period. So they'll go ahead and answer those before they start their reading. That way when they get to the chapter itself that has that word, they'll already know what it means. And then as you can see, here's just a few other of the mini books. So they're all a little bit different just to make it kind of interesting and unique. And like this one has the questions and then they'll answer it here and that kind of thing. So again, there's 24 mini books in this lap book, 24 chapters. So you can take as long as you want to read through these. You can go as fast as you want. It doesn't matter. A lot of times people ask me how many assign out. I usually assign out one chapter per day. And then that way they're just doing one of the mini books per day, because this also takes some time and you want to make sure that as they're reading it, they're kind of remembering and understanding. And I think this really helps with the remembering portion of the project. So anyways, that's what the lap book looks like inside. And then one last thing I wanted to mention is how to use these units. If you have an older child who is capable of reading by themselves, I would suggest that you just assign this out as like an independent study. If you have younger kids or you just want to do it as a group thing with like a variety of ages, you can also do read alouds. We do that sometimes as well. Everybody's doing the same book and I'll take turns reading with my older students, and then our first grader who can't quite read through this yet can just still sit and listen to the story, and then she still gets to fill out the lap book and that kind of thing, and she colors it and draws inside and things like that. So you can do them either way, as a group activity for younger readers or as an independent study. Whatever works best in your homeschool. You can schedule it out once, a couple times a week, every day. Again, these are really super flexible units and you can schedule them however works best for your family's needs. So that's my Oliver Twist literature unit. I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to email me at erica@confessionsofahomeschooler.com. And I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you for the next one.